My fellow citizens, in the corridors of power in Washington, where marble pillars meet political tension, a decision has been made, one that reaches into the beating heart of American storytelling and stretches across the fragile bridges of international aid. The Senate, led by the Republican majority, has taken a firm and unapologetic step. A measure has advanced that claws back $9 billion in federal funds. And it is not just a number on a ledger, it is a seismic recalibration of what we choose to fund, who we choose to help, and what values we place at the center of our nation's identity. The target is clear: public broadcasting, foreign aid, NPR, PBS, the very institutions that have long served as our national conscience, our collective memory, our global footprint. The Senate struck first. They didn't just trim a budget, they struck at the quiet voices that educate our children and the far-off hands that extend in gratitude for American help. Yes, even Sesame Street, the symbol of education, innocence, and community, found its dollars in jeopardy, victims of what some have called necessary austerity, and others have called needless destruction. But the story is not yet over. The bill now waits in the House of Representatives, where time ticks down like thunder rolling toward midnight. July 17 was the day it was meant to sail through the lower chamber, carried by the momentum of Senate approval and the full backing of President Donald Trump. Yet something unexpected happened. The chamber, instead of marching forward in unison, became a battlefield of distraction, discord, and delay. Unrelated storms crept into the chamber. Calls to release the Jeffrey Epstein case files surged through the legislative process like lightning in a clear sky, unanticipated, undeniable, and disruptive. And so, what was supposed to be a swift passage turned into a political detour. Now the lawmakers find themselves racing against the clock. They have until midnight on July 18. If they fail, President Trump's request will evaporate. The cuts will die. The funding will remain in place. But to make it to that deadline, House Republicans must cross several final bridges. Bridges made not of steel or stone, but of votes, negotiations, and political will. And these bridges are not clear. There are factions. There are doubters. There are those who, even within the president's own party, question the wisdom of gutting programs that have long enjoyed bipartisan respect and public affection. This is not just a fiscal vote. It is a moral referendum. Shall we defund the airwaves that bring classical music to rural towns? Shall we extinguish the signal of journalists who seek truth without commercial pressure? Shall we pull back the hand of American aid from regions where that help is the thin line between life and death? Shall we retreat? The Senate has spoken. They approved the removal of $9 billion from public broadcasting and foreign aid programs. They did so with the backing of the president's budget team, who call this efficiency, who tout this as a measure of discipline and reform. And within that $9 billion lies the lifeblood of institutions like the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It is no coincidence that NPR and PBS are at the center of this storm. These are not just media outlets, they are cultural mainstays, lifelines to knowledge, carriers of the nation's soul. They do not sell drama. They explain it. They do not chase ratings. They chase truth. But now, they must fight for their survival, not in studios, but in the halls of Congress. Alongside them fall agencies like the U.S. Agency for International Development and the World Health Organization, agencies that work far beyond our borders but in the service of our collective global interest. Their funding has helped build schools, deliver vaccines, train doctors, feed the hungry, prevent wars before they begin. And now they face erasure, not because they failed, but because they fall outside the frame of America First. This is not only a debate about money. It is a debate about meaning. For what is a nation that shuns its artists, silences its educators, and walks away from the sick and vulnerable? The House has been handed the torch. But as the hours pass, the flame flickers. Debate has veered. Priorities have shifted. And yet the clock remains indifferent. Tick, tick, tick. Midnight draws near, and with it, a choice that will echo beyond numbers, beyond headlines. If the House approves the measure, the cuts become law. The president will sign it, perhaps with ceremony, perhaps with a single pen stroke and a silent nod. If the House fails, the cuts disappear. The old funding levels stand, upheld by default, defended by delay. But make no mistake, this is not a procedural moment. It is an existential one. It is about what we value more, the cost of helping or the price of not helping. It is about what we hear in silence, the absence of public broadcasting, the muting of moral responsibility. And it is about what we teach the world, and ourselves, through the choices we make in the shadow of the Capitol dome. Will we become a nation that turns its back on thoughtful reporting, on accessible education, on global compassion? Or will we remember that strength lies not in what we hoard, but in what we share? These next hours will decide. The floor of the House will tremble with argument, with ideology, with procedural acrobatics. But the impact will not be contained to those chambers. It will ripple into homes, into classrooms, into refugee camps, into newsrooms. It will mark a chapter in our national story. A chapter that future generations will either read with pride or regret. And so, as the House prepares to vote, and the deadline looms, we must ask ourselves: what do we stand for? What do we fund? What do we silence? And what do we allow to survive, even when it's inconvenient? The answers will not come in applause or outrage. They will come in budgets, in broadcasts, in borders crossed and borders closed. And whatever is decided tonight, let history never forget, this was the night America chose what kind of nation it wants to be.